we were going to go down summer or winters only, and then my daughter decided.
Where's my beach ball and my umbrella and my drink that I was promised?
Okay, marinas.
First of all, I'm thrilled Ron Fisher is in charge of the
Ron
marina.
Fisher is now
Good
there.
hire. Great hire.
I'm trying to convince him to get a pirate suit.
He doesn't know that's part of the requirement yet. He's going to arg, right? I haven't told him that.
That's his uniform.
That's going to be their entire uniform.
Any questions on marinas?
I just want to verify there will be parking dock slips available for people to go to the marina to be able to dock for lunch or dinner or something.
Yes.
We have 6 of them, is that correct?
We have a number of them available, yes.
Okay, and there will be little signs saying for our patrons.
Probably
our
big
visitors,
signs.
or
Probably
something.
big signs to direct people.
I mean, some
Park
sort of
here.
sign saying, park here,
I might
spend
get
your
the guy
money.
flipping the board in a
Okay.
costume with the,
Cool. Love it.
Pirate. Make it a
Love
pirate.
it.
pirate costume.
He already had his hand up.
We laugh. I remember when they used to have a guy
Really?
at the marina. When you pulled up your boat, unless you were line, he had a walkie-talkie and he would have drinks on the table.
Oh, I'm not laughing about that. The white note I'm laughing about.
Oh, that's right.
My question, of course, would deal with pay. We're showing a 23% jump over the 5-year average, which nobody seems to care about. But, and again, I'm sure we'll say rain days, and we were closed last year for a period of time. But I mean, it's 16,000. I think that we got by fine with the lower payroll. That 16 just seems like a lot of money.
Well, you're 7,000 more than 2013.
12, 13, like 14. We were in the 800,000.
You're 7,000 more. You're more than that. You're 9,013.
Something happened between 11 and 12.
I'm just looking at the payroll line. I wasn't looking at the total.
I'm sorry. I always quote all.
Do we have more employees this year than we did 2013?
It's $9,000 if you're looking
Yeah, it's
at
9,000.
13. I don't know that we have new, Sharon, I don't think we have any more employees
Okay.
in there. I'm trying to look, year over year, it's 0.10%. And I know, budget to budget, so 0.10% difference, less than 1%. I'm not real sure, 3 years back with the change or 2 years back with the change.
Well, I got it here if you want it. 2012 was 2.8. 13 was 2.96. 14 was 2.96. This year's 2.93.
So very little change.
What's that, the increase?
That's the number of employees.
The number of employees.
Do we have any open recs on that?
Do we have what?
I'm sorry. Do we have any open requisitions, positions in that marina? Didn't we lose some employees last year? Have
We
they
did.
been replaced or anything?
Not yet. When season comes on, we'll replace them.
The new dock master's running Fisher.
Ron
right?
Fisher.
Oh, you did get Ron Fisher? Okay. And he has some really good jokes? Is that right?
I'm not interested in his jokes.
No, I am.
They're
No,
reasonably
I'm
good.
interested in it.
Yeah, they're good.
Is he
they're
really a
reason-
good storyteller?
They'll
He's
show you
a
how to
great
catch a
storyteller.
fish.
He's a
I'll get
fisherman.
out and hang around with him.
Walk up there,
Um,
take out your wallet.
So when does this person come on? I mean, when do
Ron's
you,
already started.
no, but I mean, oh, he has. So when do you open up the marina?
April.
And on the open slots, the open slough slots.
Slips.
Slips,
Yes,
that's
slips.
right.
How many
Thank
do
you,
you
Sharon.
It's our intent to 6 of them open.
6. Now, are they spread throughout, or are they
No,
all
we're gonna-
located very close to?
Our intent is to designate. Our intent is to designate a row or a section for the transient voters.
So you're talking 30
Well,
through 43.
No,
That's just where
no, that's it. That's not where they're going to be yet. We're not certain of where they're going to be.
You got 6 pull-up slips now, basically, right?
The T-Docs?
Yeah,
Yes.
6, I
So
think.
that gives us the capacity, which is good.
No, I'm all for it. I think
Yeah, I
it's
know.
great.
Yeah,
By
we weren't
transient.
designate a side or one side of the pier. It may not be the entire side, but the majority of it will sign up. This, come up. So if you want to come up, meet, come up, have a drink, come up there. You know where it is. It's going to be the same spots there all the time. Instead of trying, in years past, if we knew a slip wasn't rented or we moved things around. There, we're going to just. I don't know how we're going to do it yet. It may be balloons and a sign.
Wasn't that many years ago we used to run off?
What if somebody has a place they rent for a week? Are there slips available to rent by the week?
Not always. Last year there was.
Okay.
People could come in on short term, and we do daily rentals.
But these 6 slips are designated just for our visitors for short term come eat.
Come and enjoy the facility.
Great, got it.
Buy a case of beer,
Yep.
ice, bait.
Any question, changes to it?
I just lost that.
Others?
May I make a suggestion? Can we do capital first and then come to reserves? Because reserves are driven by capital.
Sure.
In some sense.
All right.
I mean,
Let's go to capital. Good idea. 22.
Oh, sorry.
Some of this we've already talked about.
The computer systems is
Infrastructure.
the infrastructure, not just a computer or a hard.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It
admin.
is-
It's in my office. Wait till you see this monster I'm
Lots
getting.
in, okay. That is the whole thing. We're talking about all of Ocean Funds.
Part of it.
That's
Get
part
together
of,
the country club and yacht club and golf courses
Well-
and pools and everybody talking with everybody.
that's part of, yes.
Part of it. Okay. Is that enough?
Well, we have approximately 100 we're going to try to allocate from this year's budget, and then 1.5 from next year's budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. President, can we take out baby pool 30,000 and paving asphalt 200,000 on page 2?
Yeah, it'll come out.
So let's
It'll come out.
roll down the top to bottom. And I'd like to start at bridge work. Did you have a chance to look? Probably did. That was yesterday.
No, I have not.
I mean, I'd like to see that bridge reduced by at least, I'd reduce it by 100, but
Do-
75.
I'm with you, Marty. Do we know what that means? The 170. You know what we're going
We
to do
do.
for
It's out of,
175,000?
it's out of the reports. Again, as we said yesterday, we'll tighten that up to match where that'll be part of the takeaway. Is we'll go back and we'll look at what those
Cool.
reports are, and whatever it is, it is.
Is that the Jerry Avina project or
I have to look.
I mean,
It may be on my desk.
Eddie or
So the
No.
next item that's been discussed is we're down to the $500,000 police building. I don't know if there's consensus there, but David, I'd like to see it pushed off. I mean, it may be an emergency. I haven't had an opportunity to look yet. The fact is, it was in our capital improvement plan for next year.
what was the consensus on that? The
I'd
board
like to
consensus.
I don't know.
I don't know that we talked a lot about
Wouldn't
it.
it like do a study and let's figure out the
Well, part of it,
Talk about RACO.
part of my memory of it was yesterday, so it's not, when we were talking about the police force, was that the point was made that this was not a expenditure that absolutely has to be paid next year.
Right.
It's a $500,000 placekeeper, basically with the understanding there will be, much more intense research done on what kind of building we have to have, what the estimates might be. So the question becomes, do you take all 500 of it and simply put it as a placekeeper in this budget, because it is, as I remember right, it's replacement. So it's not going to immediately affect, so the Marty
Not,
doesn't jump out of
it's
the
showing
chute.
5-year plan and not replacement. That was my question.
Okay,
On here, it's showing 5-year plan, not a replacement, and I would think it'd be replacement.
yeah, that's where I am.
Plan is replacement.
Yeah, but let's
Wouldn't
clarify.
that be under historical reserves?
5-year plan, it's all replacement.
It's all replacement.
Well, am I correct? The 5-year plan is the 130 a year. Is that the 5-year plan? That we're using to fund the yacht club?
But that's what's being used for the yacht club for the next.
Correct, I get that. So this
Until we
is
take it
under that same category according to this chart. And I'm not sure that's where it belongs.
That's the reason I really wanted to come here first, because of what you're saying,
Good point.
it leaves our reserves basically
Okay, hold on.
bankrupt next
Good
year.
point. You're showing the 500,000 under 5-year plan as opposed to reserves, historical reserves.
Is that correct?
Is that?
That's what it's showing here, and I'm
Yeah,
thinking
no, that's a good
it's
point.
not
I'm just-
correct.
That's why I'm asking Bob. Your answer was.
This 5-year plan is reserve, it's just a different line item under the reserve schedule. Marty had it right.
It's just another.
It's a line item under the reserve
Really, it
schedule.
ought to be one column. I don't know why it's two. I think it's two because that's the way Pete likes it. It needs to be.
Well, it was 2 because they wanted to specifically track 5 plan. So
Yeah.
we didn't end up
Major
buying a
capital
truck with it.
project.
Oh,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's all, major
Yeah.
capital projects, it's under the 5-year
Okay,
versus
all
the.
right.
Because it's a major capital
So-
project.
yeah.
All right, okay.
So the net here is, do you put a placekeeper at 500,000 with the understanding that that is not a caveat to just go spend $500,000. You still have to design the building.
I couldn't do that anyway.
You couldn't do that anyway.
There's no-
I'm just trying to make
Yeah.
understand it.
Well,
But my feeling is no. $500,000 place keep.
Take it out. I
See it in
mean,
the
I
budget.
mean,
You can't take it out. You got to have something.
Okay, $5,000 for planning.
why? Yeah, okay, yeah. But I mean, why, Tom? I mean, there's a crying need for it, and the bottom line is that no future board, regardless of who's the one that is going to have a problem with.
I can explain where the issue is.
Okay,
If you don't put some money in here that is a placekeeper in the budget, then there will be the clamoring of you are doing out of budget spending when the time comes to build the building.
no.
No, you will. I'm just telling you that's what'll happen.
Wait. Now I'm confused because I thought he was talking about doing a study in this year's budget cycle and then funding it in next year's budget cycle.
16.
And I don't think in my personal, I'm just trying to explain to you that I've sat at this table for 4 years, 3 of those years. All I ever heard was we're spending money out of budget whenever anything new came up. So part of this is simply to put some money in the budget in case it needs to be done. And quite frankly, Bill has said we ought to have been building this building already. This isn't a matter of waiting till the year after next to build the building. You're talking about if you don't put money in here to build the building,
3 years away.
you're 2 to 3 years away.
Why
from
are
building
you
the
2 to
building.
3 years away? I'm serious.
I know you're serious, and I'm trying to answer you.
You're going to be May 16. Is that right? If it doesn't go in this budget, it goes in the 16 budget, it would be May of 16.
You could potentially be wait until May of 16 or fall when we're less populated. When you start in May, that's our highest population.
I was just saying when we'd have the money
Yes,
available.
That's where the
correct.
year and a half,
So
to
it
2
might
years
be
is coming.
fall of 16.
when the project would start as an option.
And that's the point. If you don't put some money in here, number one, later in the year, if you decide that you really ought to get started on this, you're spending unbudgeted. Which, as I said, for 3 years, that's all I heard was screaming about that. So this is an attempt to put the money in so that we don't have that problem. There is an expectation of it, but there's not an expectation that we already know what the building's going to cost. The building could be $300,000. It could be $600,000. We don't know what it's going to be. That's why I used the phrase placekeeper. That's why I used it. Now, if you want to make this 400 instead of 250, whatever.
I like mine better.
Well,
5,000 for
that's
planning.
way too low.
Well, I don't think it's going to get built this year in this budget. I don't believe it's going to happen.
Well, I think it can happen.
And I think it can,
And I
and
think it
maybe
probably
it should.
should happen.
Well, I'm not convinced.
Well,
I'm not
Yeah, let's
convinced.
do
You're
the
not,
I mean, the
study.
but I am.
chief, the chief's
Before
biggest
we make
picture on
these
this one
blanket
was
comments
the
that it
report.
should be done, let's do the study. Let's figure out what we're talking about.
I'll tell you who I listen to. I've toured the facility. The man sitting to your right has already very passionately presented that what we have today is woefully inadequate and unsafe. So therefore, we will have to do something. Right?
Tom,
Right?
that's not my point.
Okay, then.
That's not my point at all. My point is, I don't have any disagreement with my pal over here, or you, as far as the need for this particular facility. But at the same time, now I'm hearing, oh, well, maybe we can get it done this year. Well, hey, let's get a study done first.
No argument.
No, I
But
mean,
you don't put
you
this in
just-
as
you just-
$5,000.
Huh?
You don't put $5,000.
No, I know.
Okay.
He's free. But in any
If you
event,
spend more than 5, you're wasting.
well, you don't know. I mean, you're depending upon Bill Rako to come back from Florida
I'm
and
depending
look
on
at
45 years of construction experience in this market.
it. How about $65,000 or $75,000? I don't know what a study like
Well,
that
you could
costs.
waste 60, make it 65.
I'm sorry, I'm not lowering this number as far as I'm concerned. Because 500,000 is a good placekeeper. It makes sense.
Should we do a straw vote? Why not? And that's how
Fine
we're
with
doing
me.
it. Everybody that wants to leave 500,000 in, raise your hand. It stays in.
It's in.
Unbelievable.
Next. Not unbelievable. It's done. It's the way it works. It doesn't mean you have to go spend it.
Shit, though.
We'll see.
Done.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Now, let's drop down to,
White Horse Park restrooms. Or boat ramps. Anybody question boat?
no,
White Horse Park restrooms.
that's the next one that was on the bring up list.
I'm against it until I know what's happening to the whole picture. Because I don't believe it's just the bathrooms. I think it's the building and the bathroom.
And that could be part of the comprehensive study for the police department, and they could incorporate that into this study. It
Might
could-
even show up in this.
yeah.
Might even show up.
Yes,
I'm
Sharon,
correct.
wanted to show up too.
Sharon, go ahead.
If I'm correct,
I didn't hear you push it up. Good.
Go ahead, Sharon.
if I'm correct, any project that Bob is going to do, he's going to bring to us with plans, with drawings, with 3 bids, so we know what we're dealing with.
Oh,
We're doing a placekeeper here for this amount. It may be less, it may be more, hopefully it'll be less. But he's made an educated guess, which is what this budget is. We know we have some issues over there. How severe they are, he doesn't know yet. How severe they are and what the new police department's going to look like, he doesn't know yet. But at least we've got a placekeeper, and I'm in favor of that number in there at this point. It doesn't mean we're going to spend it.
Somehow or another, my concern is that gets lost in the interpretation moving down the road. We're sitting around talking in May of this year, or June or July of this year. This budget is approved, and Bob comes up with some numbers. He says, "Well, I got $500,000 in the budget. You ought to move forward with it. It's going to cost us $750,000 to do this renovation, but we can pick it up next year in the next year's budget." That's my concern, and everybody forgets that it's just a, what you call it, placekeeper? Placekeeper. Same thing with the 125, 126, 135 bathroom. Same thing, maybe it's needed, maybe it's not. He's saying, you do a study in there, you find out whether you renovate it or rip the whole daggone building down and put a new one in, then you tick off the ladies who sell stuff in there, and, what do you do with them?
We didn't say
But
he's
again,
gonna get
it's a
rid of that.
placekeeper.
He's still working on it. It's just keeping the number in there,
But
Jack.
Sharon, if it's there, my concern is that it will be utilized.
And what if it is there and the building is unsafe, it has to be closed because it's not ADA requirement. Then what do we do? Then he comes to us and
Two
it's out of
porta
budget.
potties to get us to the next budget. You're
Randy,
talking,
we
don't
are
touch us there.
down the porta
I'm
potty.
talking $75 for members' assessment. $75.
You need to.
The two,
No, I mean, there
these
are.
two items are $75. That's a lot of money. We're either going to do them or not do them. I mean, there's not many well, the police department is in the plan for next year. The bathrooms are nowhere in the plan. $75 is parking. Parking.
How's it
That's
70?
fancy talk for
This
passing
is in a
budget.
replacement reserve. This is not under operations.
It's coming out of your pocket.
It's in the money we have in our replacement reserve.
Where did that come
It's
from?
not under
Assessments.
operations.
It comes from
We are
assessments.
not charging additional $75 in this board.
Absolutely, you're charging them $75 if you build that. It's coming out of their money. The reserves are their money.
And it's to be used for things
There
like
are
this.
things that they need
Well, in your-
because
in
it's
your
falling
opinion.
down.
Show me the
In
value.
your opinion, it's to be used for things like this. In your opinion, that doesn't necessarily make it correct.
I
It
know
doesn't make
people
it
with an
correct
opinion
if
and
you
we shouldn't
disagree
have
with
Well, there you go. That makes the
But
world.
here's the thing. Bob has identified a need for them because of the increased use of that area. We now do a ton more events in that area than have ever been done.
Which is
I heard the sales pitch. He also said something very, very logical, which stuck with me, and that was, we need to study this. He says, after all, we may go in there and realize that we only have to replace the roof and this, that, and the other, and then upgrade the bathrooms. Fine, that's $60,000. That's not 100 and whatever.
Well, here's where I think the miss, and you're right, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go take a look at, figure out what the best options would be, and we'll bring it back upon determination by the board. But having the 135 in, A, doesn't give us a license to automatically spend it. Still got to come back and get approval from the board. B, it doesn't affect the assessment, the member's assessment, or the annual assessment until we spend it. Right. So having it there at 135, if we only spend 65 or whatever the final number is, that then gets depreciated over the useful life, and then that's how that occurs. So no matter what we spend, it's not impacted till it's complete, it's put in service, and then it's proportion based on useful life. So there really is little to, if the question comes in, do we believe that facility needs to be addressed or not? That's really what it boils down to. And if we do, there's got to be some number associated with it. So that's our point. It's there because we believe it needs to be addressed. Now, if the board takes that out, then I'm not going to do any work on it because I'm not going to come back and ask for an unfunded request midway through the year because that's what we get hammered.
See,
So
there you go. You're going to do your study, and then you're going to come back, and you're going to say, okay, guys, I was wrong. It's not going to cost $165,000. It's only going to cost $160,000.
whatever the number, 135, but whatever the number is, it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean,
Wait,
my point is, remember what I said, logically said, we're going to do a study in there, and if we just need to renovate the place, that's what we're going to do.
That's what we
Okay.
said all
I
along.
mean, I'm all for renovation.
we listened to
I'm
what-
all for keeping that.
So
Again,
what's the
it's
problem?
my problem is we're not setting the right priorities here. That's my problem. I think that we need to focus on what has to be done. We sat around here and we talked about a $500,000 police building or structure that has to be replaced. And we all agree with that. We talked about the fact that we are not funding the roads for future repairs. We all agree to that, and we have to. Now we're talking about $100,000 bathroom, which if it's needed, it's needed. But the bottom line is, if we can do it for 60, let's do it for 60, and utilize those monies where they're really needed in a $500,000 police department, and begin to focus on the roads.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
I don't.
We all agree with
You
that,
asked me
Jack.
where it was coming from.
Yeah, but-
That's where I'm coming from, the priorities.
No, understood. I don't know that anyone's disagreeing, not even I. None of us are disagreeing with it. Oh, but I could, but I wouldn't. It's reasonable.
Exactly, right.
So so I don't understand, where I'm lost, and everyone else was asking me, I don't understand where the animosity is. If you
There's
agree,
no animosity.
Are we just?
I don't know. That's why I'm
No, I
lost.
Yeah,
think
that's
we leave
where
that
I'm-
number right where it is.
I think you leave the
And if
number
we
right
only
where it
spend
is.
a less amount, then it's fine.
Because we already-
You gotta spend anything. He makes it
That's
right.
our decision, not
Excuse
his.
me.
May I ask a question?
No, let me just
I know.
let me just juxtapose a couple things here, and then I'll write these words. This one,
Juxtaposing it. Go ahead and juxtapose all.
this line 135 is something that I think we all recognize needs to be addressed. The next line, which is the 126, this board I think has already said, and we're going to give Bob one more chance to sell us on it, is this paving of the, so the two lines are different. One of the lines says we know it needs to be addressed, we don't know the exact number, and the estimate that was put into the budget by Bob and team was 135,000. The next line is, do we want to pay attention to it? Because remember what Bob said, and I agree with him. If we don't have this line item in with some reasonable amount of money as to what it might actually cost, he's not even going to work on it. Why would he? We chose not to put the money in the budget. Doesn't mean we spend it, but if we don't put it in the budget, we're directing him, ignore that, just like we may in fact say, don't pay any attention to paving that path around the south pond because we don't want you to do that. So if the money isn't there, that's the part that you said I want to make sure people hear. As opposed to an approach that says, come back later and ask for the money and we'll spend money out of budget and we don't have any idea what we're doing from day to day, what the next idea might be. That's all this is. So, Marty, go ahead.
Bob,
Yes.
this is a bit very unprofessional. This is a serious question. Is this the camel's nose under the tent? Is this, or I don't know how you fix half of a bridge. The building that it's attached to is in just as bad a shape as the bathrooms. Is this just the first step into going, oh no, we went to fix the bathrooms and we got to replace the building? And the building becomes another entitlement Ocean Pines for a very small, select group of people.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I mean, the bathrooms to me, okay, I'm looking at, and I thought I said yesterday, but maybe I didn't do it well enough. We have more and more use out in that campus area. Okay, we recognize it. We also recognize we have 45-year-old bathrooms that service that area. It's separate from the building at the community center building. So with that being said, what my role is to provide those services, i.e. the facilities for restrooms, to the patrons of that area. What we do with the front, and that'll include, when we look at, we're going to obviously look at the entire building because it's all part of one structure. We'll take a look at it. That's where I said I need board guidance, what the policy is for the front portion, whatever I don't even know the square footage of it. We'll get all that measured out. The board will then tell me what the board feels is the appropriate policy when it comes to the users of that particular facility. I don't have that answer. That's a policy level decision at the board level. That's not for me to make. I'm looking at the facility, but it is a third rail, but I don't have the authority to make that decision.
Are the restrooms in the community center what we use for the events that happen?
We do.
So they are available.
Yes.
And if I could add, good point, Terry, because I talked to Connie about this, because, if she wants it, I'm voting for it. And she said the same thing that Terry just brought up. She uses, either the dilapidated bathroom, and it is dilapidated bathroom facility. She doesn't use the spot. She will not use a spot. Or the
Inside the community.
Yeah.
Well,
Jeff has a question.
I have a question. What in your mind does the 135 cover?
We used the 135, and it was based on, if you recall back in, I believe it was the rec department budget. Right? There's a 135, and I gave a picture of what the restrooms would be. It does not include any additional space. It's for the restrooms only.
It does not include building. The
It's a separate
the
new.
craft building.
Correct.
Okay,
just
that's true.
Now, with that being said, it doesn't preclude us from renovating the building where it is and leaving that space up front.
No,
as
but
rec.
But we also,
that's getting back to Marty's question about nose under the tent kind of
but
thing.
we also have an option if there are restrooms available in the community center for the events package, or just close it.
Close what there?
The dilapidated restroom, just close it, not available. You see what I'm saying?
Why would you do that?
Because they're dilapidated.
Because
Because
they're,
And there's plenty of
they're
facilities
foul.
available now.
Okay.
You could also put porta potties to replace those dilapidated restrooms while we figure out what to do with them. The community center restrooms are available, so women don't have to use the porta potties. I get that. But you could put them there because some people use them, and that'll close the dilapidated thing, gets the risk in that off the table
Well,
while you figure it out.
I'm merely saying, until this larger campus plan thing comes along, and the CIP with the whole admin, that whole area, if you don't want to do anything with those restrooms, you just lock the doors, make them unavailable. Use the community center restrooms. Leave the Pioneer Craft Club where they are until you get further along in the process of what else you're going to do with that area.
Second.
Makes sense.
As long as we
I
have
can blame
restrooms,
Terry on this
feel free.
one.
Are they on right now to lock the door? Are they that bad?
They're all
Yes.
day long.
They are already locked? Okay.
No, I mean, it's winter.
Well, of course,
Yeah,
you know,
no, in
right.
the summer, they're
You have it in the summer.
I mean, in the summer, we've got the kids and the camps and all the activities that are out there, hike and walk, ball players and kids that are at the skateboard.
When we're busy
That-
in the summer,
yeah.
we need the additional
Yeah.
facilities out there.
Do porta potties for a while. And they're not disenfranchising women because you have community center. Decent bet.
But I don't. What's our goal? We could do that. I mean, I could put, to Marty's point, I could put the trailer porta pot that has the granite countertops in. I mean, there's ways to. No. They have it. They do it at golf courses. One being smart, we could do. I don't understand my thing is, we need to have this replaced. So
My personal opinion is keep the number in there. He's going to do the study. He's going to come back and say this is what the recommendation is, and the board and the city at that time make a decision, yay or nay. But if there's not a number in the budget, it's not going to happen.
Good.
Well, feel free.
I'm kind of with Terry. Let's see the campus.
So include the study of this into the campus study, which includes the police department and all
What's
that.
the study you guys are referring?
Well, I mean, just coming up with a more campus.
Well, you talked
That's
about
what
it.
this is.
You talked about it. Whether or not even where it is the right place. Remember we were
Oh
talking
yeah. Oh
yesterday?
no. Absolutely.
That whole,
Recommendation. Okay.
so don't
Okay.
take 135,000, throw it into that building if we're not even sure whether that.
Oh no. Agreed.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let's say
agree
we
with
build,
that.
And the
we build a
police-
new police station.
Police thing.
What's wrong with it having
Yeah,
exterior entrances?
that's what they mean by campus spot. All of it. The police.
I look at all that
the bathroom.
anyway.
Right.
That's what I
Right.
do.
Yeah,
I mean,
right,
you all
right,
know that.
right.
That's what
I know.
Can I make a
See,
recommendation?
I think the opposition is. I think the opposition is to the number. If I'm hearing everybody correctly. Excluding you, Marty.
if we pull it, it's fine. I guarantee I'm not going to do anything with that building.
No. You are because when you do study for the police department, the study for that particular building would involve because it's it's a campus-wide, no, you don't want to do it, huh?
And your
No.
regular maintenance, you
If
wouldn't
we're
be
not
checking this one?
budgeting to do the work, the board's telling me it's not a priority. I'm going to focus on higher priorities. It's real simple to me. If it's in here, it means it's a priority to you. I will get it done. If it's not a priority, take it out, and I won't focus on it. Simple.
I call low priority. Anybody with me? You were a minute ago.
Can my brain synapse for a second? Cells need a little time.
Save
to-
all the time.
I look at everything. You all know that. I mean, we're going to look at it with this department, the placement of the whole 9 yards. This is a structure that's in bad condition, so I'm bringing it up that we need to do something.
I don't see any, I'm more sharing this. I don't disagree with Terry. In fact, they both go together. I don't see any pain whatsoever in leaving this number in here. It directs the attention to be paid attention, and if you can incorporate the solution. But I do understand and fully align with Marty's key question of, the Campbell's nose under the tent.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a reasonable thing. These are not freestanding restrooms that are an issue unto themselves. We will be faced with some other issues down the road. I don't have any problem with leaving the number in there. But understanding that, we look for the plan, and if it can be incorporated into the police thing as opposed to building it where it is, fine. Which is what you would think about anyway.
Look, it's a part
I
of
mean,
our.
I agree with Sharon. I say leave the
It's
number in
part
there.
of our facilities that have aged that need something done with it, whether it be.
Please go back to the early
Yeah,
70s.
I mean, so we need.
It's probably older than any of the other buildings we have.
Yeah.
Because it was a campground.
You say leave the number in.
Yes.
I say leave the number in.
Terry, just change it.
So where are you?
He's good.
I
He's,
say it's $16 of our members'
Say
money,
16.
whether it's reserve or
No,
not.
I'd take forward.
You say
yeah,
leave it in?
I'm up. I'm
Leave it in.
up.
It's in.
There you go. Another consensus.
Yes, it is.
Took
Do we
that
have a
point.
horn?
Dinner.
What?
Have invited to dinner.
The Southgate Trail, the 126 you have in here is for the paving. Like, do you need a number in there for the stone that with the $4,000? Is that already in there?
No, we've already budgeted.
That's already
just
budgeted.
FYI, because someone asked me and said, I don't understand what your thoughts are. I'll just pass these around. This is the stamped. Blacktop looks, it just doesn't look attractive. This is what I would recommend, especially in front of the Veterans Memorial. That's blacktop. They just stamp it, paint it. That's what I would do.
I just asked Bob to provide something to look at so that we could visualize what it looks
Could this be done in phases?
Sure. Not 1 foot at a time.
I'd love to see it in front of the memorial to start. That's where you start. Then work around.
I would start where the biggest concern is. That's where it's washing out and doing the gully. Yeah,
I'm just leaning.
we would look at how we're going to address it. We could certainly do it phases. We definitely don't want to disrupt the beauty of the area there. I mean, at all. I mean, walking trails and stuff. Great. This one's just unique because of everything it leads to, everything it brings it to. If it was paved, certainly there's easier handicap access to an area that a lot of people utilize. There's just some wins in this area. I would not recommend this in other parts of If it's on the board, no way.
Step forward and draw the blank Veterans Memorial where it is proposed to start this work. Where's this drainage from? I know where it's at.
Okay.
I looked at it again yesterday.
Yes.
I think we should just leave it.
Stick by that and I'll support you.
I looked at it again yesterday, and while I understand and I agree with Bob that it does have some safety issues, it does, and it needs a lot of upkeep because of drainage or whatever.
31
That's
year,
the pond in the middle?
31 year payback at 4,000. I'll keep adding 31 current.
You
Yeah, I
didn't do
know.
very well in art class, did you?
So where's the
I
drainage?
actually can do much better. These
Kitty.
Fire department. All right. Through here,
What's it going to do? Asphalt.
what's that?
What's it going to do?
Just roll over, won't create. Actually,
It creates
these dips,
huge
Marty.
dips.
It
I know,
creates
I've seen
these things, and if you're trying to cross,
There is a path coming from the pool over. Okay, so you're just talking about that one strand? Are you
well,
talking that
we-
going?
we-
the whole thing?
3-foot around have the same issue.
That's
If you
flat.
go along there, washout. Here, I'm kind of
I don't think that the portion.
asphalt. I don't. I think you'll just roll right over it. It won't.
2-inch base. of
What
asphalt.
about on the flat side,
It's only
over
2
on
inches.
by the fire department?
Yep.
Sometimes that pond really have a heavy rain fills up, and would that cause that to lift? Like
No, that upside. That's much higher on the west
on
side.
that side, but I'm talking this side. If you eventually went all the way around and did this whole thing,
I don't know that we'd want to go all the way around because on this side, the asphalt runs. You choose to.
so this number in here that you have, the 126,000, is to cover just this.
What do you remember?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. How much are we doing?
Whatever you all tell me.
This dollar,
Puts the entire
that
amount
price was for the whole thing.
to do a math. And I checked with it at our lunch break.
And it's going to be done in house.
No, we don't have supers and mixers.
Okay, that's what I just didn't know.
We'd hire
Something-
someone
okay.
to come in and do it. He got a price. I can't remember
Okay.
who he got. Probably best.
Was checked.
And you guys can go today before we make a decision. Go walk it. You decide. I mean, I've been out there. I'm telling you, that area gets all chewed up. We can keep filling it with stone. I just think there's a better solution.
By any chance, have you talked to any of the veterans of Boynton Beach? What their thoughts were? They have any objection?
No, I haven't talked to them at all. I couldn't imagine an objection to.
I can't either, but I just wondered if I talked to.
All right, this is where I get, almost go back. There comes a point in time when just because you've got money in the bank, where is this on the criticality list from top to bottom? Take one look at me, I'm not a jogger. So,
Gee.
shock to everybody, right? Again, I just don't see that as a top issue for us to be looking at this, which means I'm saying don't even work on it, except for maintain. I'm sorry, that's what I had this on this one.
Take a poll.
I just want to get my, again, Jeff, you have spoken. I don't think.
I agree. Maybe next year.
1 year at a time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, let's look at it again next year. Put it back on the list next year, Bob. Some things did like
You don't have
maybe
to
or
have pout
something.
and not put it back on.
Pardon?
Well,
I didn't
We'll
hear
put
you.
it in the pool.
Well, now, when it, Bob, quote you, if it's not in the budget, you're not even going to look at it.
Correct, but
So
if it's a
forget
safety
it.
concern,
Just forget
no,
the
I'll
whole
bring it up
project.
next year.
Oh, no, no, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no, no, no.
I can assure you.
Yeah.
All right, well done, well played.
But it will just be.
Okay, that's $15 we saved.
Okay, now, the next thing that was on the hot list was the pickleball and platform courts, 135,000.
We're 16.
The
That seems low to me. Is that,
no, pickleball courts are basically a slab of cement.
that's all?
That's all.
I
Slab of
Quite
cement.
But you
True.
need fence.
Yeah, you need fences and stuff, but I mean, it's basic.
And wasn't there a discussion about where they're located?
Anybody want to see what a pickleball?
Well,
You brought
that's the
up-
other issue. I'm sitting here as the liaison to the tennis advisory committee and that whole group. I reconfirmed again last night that these facilities, if built, need to be built at the Macon campus. They just can't be built at the swim and racket. It just isn't going to work in their mind. I reconfirmed it again last night with them. They're solid on that. They've researched this thing. Pickleball, apparently, really, even with windscreens, can't be played near water where there's free flowing air and all that stuff. So if we do this, and I'm still in favor of doing it, I think we look at the Manklin Creek campus and got to move the gazebo, whatever we got to do. I don't have the answer for it, but I think these need to be built, and I think the idea of a racket campus makes all the sense in the world, and at some point they need to be built and figure out how to do it.
Yeah, okay, but let's not just declare they need to go in Manklin Creek. Let's figure out if that's possible, because, you know, what I heard from him when we talked about it before was that was difficult / impossible. If that's true, I don't want to be sitting here saying, go do this thing that you can't do. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I agree they ought to be together, but is that possible?
In essence, to me, here's the net of my leave this budget amount in here, but you're leaving it in here with the understanding it's Manklin Creek.
Yeah, I don't think you can necessarily do that. Well, we can't.
may end
I
up
don't
not
think
building
we
it.
should.
You may end up not building it, but it's got to be at Manklin Creek.
So we're parking.
Got to be and
parking
should
another
be.
s-
are different.
Another park job.
No, it's it is what it is.
Bob, did you have something?
Look, well, you know I've looked at the area, and I'll show you the layout and everything else. If we're going to budget to put it in, then we're going to move, and again, I don't think everybody understands the can of worms that's associated with this. It's nice to say we should put it there, and I'm 100% with that. No issue. I think that should be a racket campus. I've pushed that harder than anybody. We've changed our budget to meet that. So I'm with that. I'm with them 100% on that. The challenge I have is we're limited on space allocation. So to get what the request would be, there's going to need to be some changes to that campus makeup.
If
We're
you
putting
can't get a 4 can get to it.
anything. We can do anything. It changes the makeup down there because limited space. So
Would that increase the cost?
what,
The money here for the pickleball courts and the platform courts, Manklin Creek, if you have to move some things around, would that increase your cost?
well, No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to answer it more definitively. Here's the challenge. If you move the courts near the ball fields, okay,
Mhm.
which is the one
I
direction,
got you.
you're right next to the fence at the ball fields. Do you want pickleball courts on top of the ball field? I don't think that's the proper use, but we can certainly look at that. That also is the area where the batting cage was supposed to go. Knowing there was a conflict, we held off until we got kind of a broader plan on this. If it's our intent to move it towards the gazebo area where we're actually crossing the parking space there, the ditch and going, then we need to move the gazebo and potentially relocate part of the playground. We can't just do part of it.
Veterans Memorial Free.
Either way, we have an issue there. If we're adding the element, do we also have to look at parking requirements for the addition? And when they looked at parking requirements, they looked at a drawing of a shift towards the ball field, which then eliminates putting them near the ball field. There's a lot. It's not as easy as, hey, we want them, we're putting them in. The space is limited. Marty?
And I haven't had the advantage of seeing it. There was the plan that they presented to us at a meeting.
Couple
3
months
months
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
That plan, as I remember, included more than 4 more pickleball courts and 2 platform tennis courts. It included a new warming shed, a pro shop, it included this beautiful campus tennis feature thing spread out over a number of years. That goes to hell in a handbasket if we start building another location. Now, if we can't do it there, maybe it's time to say we can't do it. But until you have a plan,
Well,
until you have a plan that says we can't do it,
I will tell you, I'm the one that pushed to combine the racket sports,
I
to
thought
create
you
the
were.
elements, and to create the complex down, the campus. But this is looking 5 years out, and what do we take logically? When I start to push, all of a sudden they want the courts now, which I understand. To grow those activities, you're going to have more space for them to play. I got that. So we have 3 competing elements that have tried to work well together between 3 different activities. We're going to have to make some really tough decisions on this, folks. I mean, part of doing it over at Sports Corps was a stopgap to put pickle, which is relatively time, to your point, growing those courts would not be as expensive as new platform courts and those type things, to do the stopgap until we get a longer-term campus plan in place. That was the intent. If we're saying, no, we don't want to do it, then we've got to decide. We pretty much are approving to put $170,000 or $150,000 worth of lighting at the ball field. Are we going to use that ball field? And if so, how's it going to impact with a court sitting right next? First foul ball that hits somebody in the head. So now, again, there are just so many elements that you got to consider over there. Does that lighting, when they're on, if someone wants to play at night pickleball, can they play because that light's shining where it's in their eye of whoever's playing pickleball?
these are all important questions that I want answered before I'm going to park a dollar. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. We're cart before the horse. I was under the assumption, silly old me, listening to that presentation, that this was going to happen at Main Street. And then based on Sharon and I walking around those tennis courts and listening to the people say, no way, no pickle courts here, they won't work. And then, I mean we're stuck.
The tennis people perhaps just play tennis. Pickle and paddleball change. So I'm with Bob with the concept of campus is, I think, important. I walked that area with a guy, and I can't remember his name. I feel bad about the guy who was the engineer, the land engineer, with Bill Rako and the other gentleman, and they were talking about alternatives, perhaps looking at the people, perhaps adding the parking, different ways to do it. I think there are opportunities to make something happen out there in a long-range plan. And if we feel it can't be done this year, then maybe we need to park this number, and I don't like doing that, or maybe we just put money in for a study to figure out what we can do. But I think this is where we need to concentrate. I've met with tennis people, tennis meaning racket sports people, and they are a very growing group, very interested in supporting this community, and that's what they want it. You got to figure out some way to make it happen.
Sharon, part of the separation of moving over to sport or to swim and racket, I felt it was a good alternative. If we grew, windscreens up, make the improvements to the court, get them to focus there. 5 years from now, if we build, to what Marty's point, warming hut and all these other elements, we could look at, all we're going to do is refurbish the tennis courts there. So to me, it made sense to continue to give them more space to grow their elements right now, which is what they're looking for. Even though it's not the most ideal place, it's a good way to see how it's going to grow and this and that, put the windscreens up. Now, from what Tom's telling me, no, they don't want to do that. And that's fine, but then I'm trying to bridge that gap to give them the opportunity to grow. If that doesn't suit their needs, then we can certainly regroup and plan differently. But
you know, if they want to play pickleball, they'll go there. And if they don't want to play,
and you're not going to get the growth. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
But we can't in a year create what it is they want created.
And we may need to really bite down hard and tell them gee whiz, guys, we really wanted to do this,
We're
but we
offering
can't.
it. We're offering this alternative until your grant.
And
can
we're
be-
talking $720,000 over the next 4 years playing Manquin Meadows tennis complex, and we're stuck at 135 because we don't have space. I think we need a better plan.
Yeah,
How about killing two birds with one stone and putting these pickleball courts where the bathrooms are?
I have something
That'll
I'm
do
not
it.
going to say it.
What do you think?
I'll tell you exactly.
I'm not going to say it.
I'm ready to go.
Welcome to the club.
Look, folks, reality is we had 3 separate sports that were at each other's throats a year ago.
You're right.
They were at each other's throats. They found a way to cooperate with each other. They are willing to buy memberships to pickle and platform. They are found a way, and right now, as I understand it, the only part of this that cannot be built where the original plan that Bill presented to us, committee did, is the pickleball courts. They can't be built over on the watershed, whatever you want to call it. The reality is we have a gazebo sitting, and I've lived here for 6 years. I have never seen a single person in that gazebo ever. In the time I've lived here, I've never seen anybody in it.
next to the playground.
Yes, I've never seen anybody in that gazebo.
People have kids in the playground go there for shade all the time.
Whatever. The bottom line is we have 3 groups that were at our members that were at each other's throats who are now working together. And if we have to find a way to build the pickleball courts where the gazebo is, as opposed to building it where the plan originally said, for this board to remove these dollars from this budget and say, sorry guys, not this year, we're done, that is disingenuous on our part for us to do that. If we want to park these dollars to get the plan done right, then I have no problem with that. But for us to take these dollars out of this budget is the wrong thing.
Okay. Park another 16. You know, I've always said the parking lot makes more money than any other amenity. This is proven it.
So do we have
Based on this
consensus?
exercise, you're
Keep
right.
this in here and get the plan.
Plan's got it.
Definitely.
That's key.
All right.
Plan is key.
And that avoids
Now-
what I was complaining about, which is the edict from on high, regardless of the responsibility, what you do this. I don't like.
Oh,
right.
So this, we're going to go study and figure out how to do it.
Yeah, functionally it doesn't.
No,
Really.
I'm okay with that.
But you didn't like the idea about the bathroom and the pickleball. That's not
Little
good.
small area. But Jack, in flavor of teaming up with you, we could turn the bathrooms into ping pong areas.
Never mind. Really a bad idea.
Is there anything else on the capital list that covered all the bring ups?
Yeah.
Yes, this is page 2.
Splash pads, baby
Splash
pool.
pad, the-
Before that's done.
Well, we already got rid of the baby pool.
Okay.
The splash pad, I thought we agreed to keep.
Yeah, but I thought we
think
were gonna
that
reduce
number's, I think that number's too high. I think we at least drop it to 100,000. I think 175 is too high based upon the one estimate that I saw.
I would agree with that.
Where's this? Oh, the
Okay,
splash
you're
pad.
at 175 for the splash pad now.
Make that 100 is what you're saying?
That's where I think the number should be. Still gives range, but I only saw one thing, one estimate.
It's $8.50. Take it.
If we leave it and we don't spend it, that's fine too. But I'm just saying that I think we're high on that. The 170.
I got to tell you, I met with 2 splash pad people last year, and this number was the conservative number. So I'm not sure what was presented to the aquatics. I wouldn't have it in. The number I had before was 2.25. Just
That's
so
the
you know.
first number I had heard. So when
Right.
I saw this other number, I thought, wow, there's a
So I've had
significant
2
numbers.
at the $200,000. We scaled back and said, look, we're going to go something smaller. So I'm not sure at all where the 50's coming from. That you had gotten where they presented who it was or what it. I'm good with where I think the splash pad is the right direction. But we also have a splash pad, and when we put it in, we should not go the cheapest low end where we have pump issues and everything else. Secondly, we're going to have to fix the fencing there. Third, we're going to have to fix the ramp. All those things are the ramp, handicap accessible ramp to get into
Their
the
step, you mean the steps?
No, they have to
Yeah,
build the
it has
ramp.
to be a
Take
ramp.
out the
we have,
stairs.
we have to put a
Is there
ramp
a
in.
ramp there now?
There
No.
will be.
No, there is one. Yeah.
Right, we
Right,
will
so
put
there
one
is
in.
no-
We have to build.
Right.
Correct. So
Understand.
all these things have to go into consideration with these numbers. That's all I'm telling you. And I don't know what the final number. I have no idea.
Well, Jerry was there, and Tom Terry was there, and Eddie Wells was there, Jenny Reister, and I. I don't, a couple other public works people. So they asked all good questions, and I didn't see any negatives from it. And I personally think the number will be under 100. But if you feel this is the number we need to leave there, it's not going to go over that. But I
Well,
don't think
Sharon,
it's going to be that high.
since we're in a parking mode and we're parking everything, I agree with Bob, which is very unusual. There is a possibility that they may have been using cheaper equipment, and in the final analysis,
That's my concern.
yeah, in the final analysis, you want to make sure that we're not paying for it in the long run
Right.
instead of doing it correctly up front in the short. So, I don't have a problem.
First of all, let me make sure we're all clear. We all agree to get rid of the baby pool at that site. Go with this budget.
Yep,
Correct.
yep.
All right, so that 30 grand for the baby
No.
pool is off, and the number of the debate now is whether we keep 175 or not.
Right.
Anybody?
I'm fine
Go
with
with
it.
it? Okay.
I don't
All
think
right.
it'll be that high.
Okay.
That'd be
hoping
great.
it won't be that high.
Yeah. If we can get it for 25,
I have
then
a
it's good.
aquatics question.
Aquatic, sure.
Yeah, it takes us back about half an hour. It's important. When we were talking earlier about the Mumford Landing pool crack being repaired in this year's budget, I don't see it.
Correct. It's under sports court. If you recall, our sports court, we have money for the sports court work that we decided we were going to wait and budget for in this new budget, and we're going to use that money.
So that
to do the
60 has become, just scratch out sports core and put
No. Which budget? What are you marking up?
this year's budget.
He's
The
got
budget
current-
in right
current
now.
budget.
He's got the-
Okay,
There's
what's
no
the-
money in that for Mumford Landing.
Correct.
It's
Sports
under
court
sports court.
money we want to reallocate.
Just checking.
He's got last year.
Just want to make sure.
Where is that? Where's
Hey, I got 1982's budget if you need it.
He's got a different book.
We serve that class.
At lunches.
All right.
one
Yes,
more
sir.
thing? I want to get a consensus of this board. I brought up the fact that we're spending $75,500 for furniture. I put out a flyer that went around the room. Does everybody agree that Bob should spend the time and effort to look at the possibility of utilizing that service rather than buying all new? And I seem to recall in going through the detail of this thing, there were, $175 umbrellas or $475 umbrellas or something like that. And my question is, does this group feel that it's worth his effort to go forward and, look at rehab rather than purchase?
Well, I'd say he does.
Yeah, you already did.
I have a question.
Oh, hang on, let me get, is that a different question or something having to do with?
It has to do with this.
Okay, go ahead.
Did we buy all new yacht club pool furniture last year? When we opened the yacht club
Was it
pool up,
yacht club? We buy the same furniture and rotate it around. If whoever needs it. Yacht club always gets newest
new
furniture.
I just thought that we opened it up last August, all new furniture. So that furniture has wear and
No,
tear.
and
No.
we had new. Now we did have new furniture that was set aside.
It was never used.
Just wasn't used.
So
But
it's new
every year,
furniture.
but when we get the new furniture, typically the rotation is whenever we get new furniture, we may be getting new furniture for swimming rack, whatever it is. But we typically will rotate the the newest furniture because it matches right now at the yacht club, and we rotate. There's a
I
rotation
got you.
time usage. So
But typically that's 18,000 a year.
okay,
This year it's 75.5.
the goal this year is to we'd like to upgrade the furniture at the yacht club pool in particular. Every year when we buy it, it's replacing that. We're going to go with a little more of an upgrade of the furniture at that club to we're hoping to get longer life out of it. It's commercial furniture, longer life, and a little better quality furniture. So it all flows with the new facility and everything we have.
And this is the pool. It has nothing to do with the yacht club building itself.
No,
Strictly
deck space, correct.
And the deck space outside, so the
But which
outdoor
is
dining.
and
no,
the deck house.
not dining.
Just
Dining on the pool,
inside,
on the inside of the fence.
inside the fence. Okay.
Yes.
Just seems a boatload of money.
does.
15,000 a pool.
Well, if you replace it, remember when we're doing the 15, we're not replacing an entire pool's worth of furniture. That's in years past. We're taking our worst pieces.
I'm saying this is 15,000 pool. 75,000 divided by 5. is
Yeah, and
15,000.
because we're doing one whole pool with all new furniture is the intent. And unfortunately, the umbrellas and such, to Jack's point, they're not cheap when you're buying commercial quality, higher end. I've seen them as high as $2,000. I've never seen such a thing. For umbrellas, for the stand, it's crazy.
When Jack and I first went over this book, and we looked at that furniture, I'm like, $180 for, a umbrella stand. I went on eBay. I went on. I researched it myself, and that's what they're going.
It's crazy.
It's
Yeah, but
absolutely.
if you have a liquor license and you spend a lot of money at the local liquor store, give you brand new umbrellas. So what if they say O'Doul's or Anheuser-Busch? They will give them to you.
But they're not quality at the size and the heavyweight construction. There's a whole lot of wind over the yacht club, and I've seen those umbrellas actually blow out of the stands with a quick wind point down. You have to have good quality, and the same thing with swimming rackets.
Everybody's got to have a thing
All right.
to say.
Excuse me, folks. Terry has to go on a living,
end my vacation and go to work.
so she has a parting gift.
I have a couple things that just so you know what my thoughts are. I would like to see the PR assistant position, but
What?
the new PR position, the assistant position. I don't support the 4 positions for the drainage. The roads, I would like to continue using the casino money for this budget, and then start thinking about how we're going to fund the roads in the future. I would like to see a 0 increase in the assessments. And in the sports score pool, I know all that work is going to be done. One of the things, the most irritating things to me is that sports score pool is just shy of being a competitive pool. And if you're going to be tearing up the decking and stuff, to see if there's any way possible to add that additional footage to make it competitive, so that during winter season, it's really quite good.
On roads, you're saying leave it as it is.
For this year, but we got to start working on where we're going to put that money.
Thank you.
Okay. So
Sure has been fun spending your vacation with you.
So I think the net to your question, Jack, is I think y'all would want Bob, basically what we've been doing is look for the most effective, cost-effective way of doing it. And if that includes looking at refurbishing some of this, stand in the way of that. Makes sense to me. So,
We have taken out.
depends on when he buys or anything. All right, lunchtime.
We were going to go down summer or winters
Yeah.
only, and then my daughter decided.
21, which is the reserves. Ultimately, I think there's an understanding and use the word concern, there's going to be deep interest in that we flow out our numbers, our actual dollars and reserves, and get low down to 1.2 million capital assessment replacement reserves, which is where we are. You know, the 5-year plan takes care of the yacht. Not something I think we talk about whether or not we have enough reserve to be set aside or not. We may, in fact, gotten what we've got behind me at that point.
Not close.
What? Well, actually, it is. If you divide $97,000 worth of losses in the yacht club by 8,447 people, it's about $10.
Oh, no, that's
Per
fine.
person.
I thought you were talking about
No.
improving this.
Yeah. No. I'm not talking about the improvement. I'm not. I don't know exactly.
I mean, it looks to me like it's 356,000 reserves, but not spent capital.
And at that point, I would simply draw your attention to future projects column, which is $60,000 behind. It's been behind for a long time. It's been in the years. We still have roads out there that. So again, I think the discussion, Marty, I'm not exactly sure where we.
Gulf drainage, which we have financed for
Right.
10,000 years, $1 a year.
What is the future budget? I'm sorry, I see zeros there. What do you think for? I didn't understand.
Future projects,
Negative.
the balance is a negative $60,000. It's been sitting there on this page for years at
I don't
50
see where
years.
that is. I'm
Page
sorry.
two.
Oh,
Page
page
two.
two.
Page 2.
I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page.
Page 2.
Balance this out. You take out the 6,124, the 60,412, and 1,095, the negatives. And really, bulkhead sort of sits on itself.
Right.
You can't fool with that. I know we don't fool with 135, 828 recovery fund. We're down to less than $500,000. We're down to about $500,000 in reserves. That's just not what we talked about in 2009 when we said, hey, we got to start this 5-year plan to bolster our reserves. That's where it started.
Well,
I mean, we wanted to have 2 years of we wanted to have a balance that was equal to 2 years spending, historical spending. We're not even close.
Well, the one that jumps out on me on this is drainage. Clearly, it's a huge issue for the whole community, but it's also sitting here right now at a $656,000 negative. I'm not exactly sure how we as a board to address or begin to think about that as we're, drainage work that 4 people, those positions end up staying there for various comments. That's not going to be a cheap adventure. We're starting in the hole.
Well, this is different. This is golf drainage.
But it's still drainage.
Well,
you know what?
It's
You know
still
what?
drainage.
They're two different issues.
Well, no, they're not.
No.
No, they are.
This is a misnomer, this golf drainage. There are people that live around this course.
Correct.
Oh, here we go.
And-
Yes, I understand we have 1,400 houses that are directly affected by the golf drainage.
Yeah.
Fine.
I don't know, 14, I don't
It's
know.
1,400. But that's still not drainage that your task force is set to deal with. Dealing with the miles and miles and miles of
You
road
and I are on the
drainage.
same, we're on the same
And
page.
that falls under roads, or always has historic.
Really?
The roads is in the hole.
I mean, the 656 does have a plan to retire it. What, at 25 years? I mean, there's a plan that we approved as a board recently to pay that off. But this is Mission Creek. This started as a $450,000 loan. It was initially approved budget.
I mean, the question is, do you want to address this if the budget were to come out at a below zero, in other words, reducing, do you want to take that money and apply it to some of these reserve negatives that are here? What's the board want to do?
You mean double down on our, use our Operation Pluses to pay down reserves? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the dues themselves ultimately we got rid of the coupon, which was $10. We got the iClub to 0, which is around another, this is your round figures, another $10. Well, that's 5. We just lowered the, again, don't hold me to these numbers because I don't know exactly what the impact is that we've done already.
When you finish up.
But the question becomes, this page clearly has a problem. When, as Marty says, when you're down to about $500,000, that's a pretty low amount of money. So, go ahead, Jeff.
Now, while I was away, I got a phone call from Pete Gomzak.
Marty's favorite person.
Why does everybody look at me?
Because I don't
think you know the answer to that, Marty.
I don't want you to be angry with me. That's why.
Oh, you're in Pete.
Are you
But
and Pete
anyway-
dying together?
Moving on.
You can't.
Moving on.
Anyway, I got a call from Pete Gomzak. And Pete said, Jack, you and I had a conversation. We were going over this budget process because he put it together. And he was giving me, an education versus that, how it's put together and this, that, and the other. And we talked about the covered pool loan. And the way it was broken out, and I think I'm correct on this, if you look at the covered pool loan, principal equals about $7 per person. No, the interest. I'm sorry. The interest. The interest expense equals $7 per individual member. So I said, well, why don't we pay the sucker off? Well, we can't do that because of some esoteric who struck John. And he says, calls me and he says, I put my thinking cap on because you made me think of these things. And we can pay it off. And I guess he's going to borrow money from the account, pay it off. No. That's another $7.
Yes. That motion is coming forward tomorrow.
Oh.
It's not
Well, see, I wasn't around.
That's right. You were on a boat.
I'm sorry, you wrote it?
I did.
You wrote that motion.
From a boilerplate from the one that we did last time.
Well, that's a
between
relief,
me and Mr. Terry.
because it's basically the same motion that Ray Unger put last June. Pete Gomzak single-handedly
Yeah.
torpedoed.
No, it's not the same motion.
It is.
But in any
Pay
event,
off the sports.
but in any
loan.
event, he's doing the math.
Yeah, no, your point's well taken.
Jeff is paying attention here.
We've got even
and,
more.
And I'm thinking, I know he's going to love this, but I'm thinking that we might be able to lower the assessments this year.
And my point was,
I second.
if we're getting this down to 5, well, guys, you can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and say the reserves have gone too low, and then you want to, lower the dues. At the same time, I mean, all I'm trying to do is conceptually, because right now we're sitting at a board that lowers the dues below where they are today. The question becomes, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the reserves are too low, but argue but to let the whole decrease go in. I mean, you can't have it both ways. Either we use that decrease or a portion of it to begin to pay off $60,000 or pay off something here that we have as a debt. Again, I don't hate to put it that way, but you can't have it both ways. You can't lower the dues and take care of the reserves at the same time.
The only
You can't do both. Unless you
This is,
got an idea, I don't know.
in my opinion, this is not a reserve problem. It's a spending.
That's,
Look, day after this was a budget balance for April 30th, 2015. May 1st, you can add 1.7 if we don't extend the 85-year funding. What is it now? 7-year funding plan?
Page 2.
Page 2. If we don't extend the funding plan, we're still going to be putting 1.7 in their appreciation the next day, plus or minus $1. So if you think that's a dangerous number when we get to it, then we might want to talk about some funding device at that time. But I don't want to vote to spend 1 penny of an assessment today on a balance April 30th, 15. Especially when we just parked enough money to make this problem go away.
That's right. That parking's a big deal.
It is a big deal. You take the $500,000 for this police department, and you got $900,000 reserves.
That's nice and easy. That's nice and easy to say, but everybody around this table, except maybe you, Marty, has been shaking their head going, yes, we know we have a problem we have to address. None of the dollars that were parked on any of these projects were things that this board didn't think need to have attention to. No, it's a fact, because the thing we said didn't need to be worked on, which was the trail, we took out. So, I'm sorry, parking an issue is not the same thing as taking it out, which is what we did on some. So, the bottom line is, do we want to do anything about these reserves? or not?
He's going to check with our legal eagle, and we're going to find out,
I'm coming back to
Revenue
that.
stream.
okay, and that should go into roads, and that eliminates the road stick. Now, worry about the road stick. You can fund it through, if we can push that assessment, we have enough willpower on this board to push that assessment through, and we can identify those renters. We can utilize that money to fund these deficits.
Then I'm going to suggest, and I think you make very good.
Thank you.
We've got a big what if hanging out there, which is this entry fee thing or this rental fee thing idea, which could conceivably happen. So I think we come back to this reserve page. Again, we're not voting on this budget tomorrow, but what we do have to finish by Friday with our guidance to Bob and Artem. We have to finish that by Friday.
Right.
Okay. So let's leave this tab and let me go back to the bring ups unless you have another specific thing to bring. Go right ahead.
I have a question.
Sure.
We did chop $356,000 out of capital spend.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go back and find it, but it was 200 for parking,
It's up there.
126 somewhere else,
It's right there.
30,000.
It's
Okay.
right there. We got it.
What happens, Zach? Does that go? I mean, if this assessment was to say the same, wouldn't that appear here in reserve? Since that all that money was coming out of reserves.
The 356 will not be subtracted. We'll add two back
So
to
the
reserve
reserves
balance.
will naturally go up somewhere around 3.
It would stay in the historical reserve. Am I correct?
Thanks. That was my.
Well, it's whatever reserve I had coming out.
It stays there.
Just stays in the
Nice,
balance.
nice.
Look at this. I'm making. Go ahead.
Naked money.
Way to go, Marty. I mean, you're amazing.
Lost
get
my
those
shield.
plates
Well, see, that's what happens when people like Sharon and Marty.
Okay.
Let's move
Is that
right
what
on.
happened?
I've got a dentist
The
appointment.
energy-
Enough of this stuff. Let's go on to the meeting.
All right.
Why
Now,
didn't Leah lose it?
I know.
all right.
She is rude.
Here we go. Back to the bring up list, folks. The first thing on the back revisit list was road, which I think we just talked about. Need to know what may or may not happen with the new funding source that the Budget and Finance Committee came up. We had look into a sound system, which was not in this budget. So that's still on the list as is what we have really enough or not. The bridge cost, which is looking at the engineering. The police thing, we've already voted due to that. Porta potties and places. That. Pathway South Pond, that got taken care of. Courts, kept that in the budget. We got the numbers for Jack, which was the usage of the covered pool, so we need to keep that open. Baby pool we got rid of. The golf we left alone, which is the 1,800 more rounds. And that was the entire list that I had. Issues to bring back up. The biggest ones, obviously, are these, or is this the golf? The question of the golf. Let's go to these three right here. But this shows removing the increase of the fees for greens fees for existing members, right? That we were losing. You're going to get 10,000, 10.2. They talked about not raising that fee. That's what, so I don't think we ever came to a conclusion. So where does the board, do we want to keep the fees? Rates went up last year. So I'm not going to repeat the whole argument one way on both sides. What do you want to do with this?
I'd say leave the whole budget alone. Well, leave it alone.
So-
That good call, of course,
so
it's
keep the
$55 a month. Don't take that out. If the raise is $55 for the golfers, look, you got a budget here. They came up with, it's aggressive. I want to see this successful. And another 10,000 pull by doing that.
State.
Yeah, I'll defer to Bill because he threatened me if I didn't.
Jeff?
I'm going to, first a comment, we're raising golf 5%. We're raising beach park way more than that. And I wish I could find some kind of, something that would tell me in the numbers that we would raise members, or we decrease, we gain members. But I don't. We decreased the rate in 2010 and lost as many members as any other. Leave it alone. It's their budget. Let them look. My feeling.
Part of me, my purpose, try not to raise somebody's years, whatever their 2 years in a row. And just going back to those 2 years. Part of me says that they want that. I'm afraid we end up at 3 and 3, folks. I'm kind of focused. I'd like to see these go up years in a row for our members. I really don't.
No increase, no increase,
No, he didn't say it.
No, he's saying to.
What are you saying?
I'm saying keep the.
Oh,
increase.
increase. Your
I'm saying
increase,
that
no
the
increase,
is
no
the
increase.
It's 3 and
No
3.
increase.
Oh, okay, stick with this budget. You're saying stick with this budget.
Right. Anybody who
now I
says
understand.
stay with the budget is increased.
Okay, you're right, it's 3-3.
So it's 3-3. So how do
And it's a 4% increase since 2009.
Well, we're going to be together tomorrow. We'll leave that one open at this point. Entry fee, rental fee, we need legal advice. Well, go ahead and speak to the golf if you want to.
No, sir.
The other question that I would have on that rental fee, entry fee is pretty straight. How do we identify?
That's the issue.
I put an email in this morning to Joe's office while we were talking about it via the phone, so I'll follow up this end.
I think Sharon hit it on the head. We could license it, but we're not a legal entity that may not have licensing power or authority.
I'm going to find out what we can or cannot do from our legal counsel.
I mean, we can't do fees.
My guess is,
We only do one assessment. Those special assessments.
my guess is we can do the
That's my guess.
That's my guess too.
Should we,
So
should we have a pool?
no.
All proceeds go to the reserve account?
All in, yeah. Right.
my
No
guess
matter
is
the outcome, you buy them.
I probably wouldn't get that argument.
Kitty, Donald,
Are you crazy to think anybody would? I can't get anybody even when the board goes to dinner. I don't get
You
anybody.
don't get I don't get an invitation either. I don't get one. You
No,
don't
you
get
got to
one.
pay attention when somebody's flashing lights at you. pal.
And notice how smoothly it went. Oh yeah, I agree with that. You know what I mean?
I know.
What's that
I-
script
I-
they're all
Let's
over?
move right along, please.
I hope-
I
I have
Keep it.
I do have a dentist appointment. Wasting time. Let's go.
Well, we're almost. Terry's list that she read before she left. perspective, Mary, don't agree with doing that count of relations department. Does
I would
anybody-
agree with her.
What?
I would agree with her.
Okay. Would,
I question the 4 people.
well, that's a
That's
PR push.
another issue.
No, that's not PR.
That's coming up next. The first thing she said.
Oh, you're talking about
was
PR. Excuse
PR.
me. I thought you were.
The half
Never
a
mind.
person.
I'm reading.
I'm not in
Public
favor
half
of
person.
removing-
Half.
A part-time person.
It's the part-time
Yeah.
person. I don't see any, I don't want to, I don't. Where are you?
I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm leaving.
Now we're at the 4 people. Now we're at the 4
Okay,
people.
I'm
Okay, keep going.
Now we're at the 4 people.
half a person.
Half.
We're keeping.
The 4 people for the drainage program.
Keep the 4 people we've been using, or get people we got doing it.
We don't
I-
have anybody.
We have been doing it. Maybe we've stopped. But you know what? I'm not at all. The increase in payroll and public works is a lot. I mean, I would take 125 of that and do something else with it, like give it to people that are paying.
Talking. He's got 66 budget.
Yeah, sure.
All right. There is.
It's $133,000 increase over last year's budget.
He's got 66.
It's $133,000 increase for last
May
year's
very well
budget.
be, but the dollars for these 4 people is 66,000.
Okay, then I'm saying I would rather see them take $125,000 worth of that payroll out.
My question is this: if I'm correct, there's a task force on drainage that has been
Not for
started.
This, not for
No, it
this
hasn't
one.
started now.
Not for this.
They have not started yet. Okay.
It's
Not-
separate.
It's separate from it.
Separate.
Yeah.
So what we're saying, these 4 people would be devoted to cleaning out ditches, but
Main-
not necessarily solving the drainage issue.
Oh, they're not solving any. They're cleaning out the ditches. They'll start one end of the ditch to the other. When they're finished, start over, checking all the ditches.
I thought, excuse me, Mark, I thought, you okay?
Yeah.
I thought purpose for these 4 people was to help rectify the drainage issue. So it has really possibly a cause and effect because maybe ditches get clogged up, but not necessarily for that
Yeah,
concern, the
This
drainage.
is another step. The board is, several of the board members have expressed continuing interest in focus on drainage. Recognizing that interest, I put a dedicated crew that's with their 90% of their life here is going to be focused on that. The only time it won't is when they get pulled into a winter storm event. Those types of things. Other than that, they're going to be cleaning all the ditches from one end to the other, checking where everything is blown out, all that stuff. We're doing it now with our crews, but our crews do all the other things we do as well. We don't have a dedicated, much like the bulkhead crew, they're dedicated bulkheads unless they're, they get for direction. We're going to put a 4-man crew, laborers, focused primarily on keeping the ditches clear.
I'm not 100% sure that I'm favor of that. Now, I get the purpose of it. I understand it. I thought it was to solve and rectify a drainage issue, which I question how it was that. This task force has not come to you and say, Bob, we need 4 people dedicated. This is
And the task, I don't see
No.
the task force doing that, period.
That's
I don't know why.
I mean, I thought there's a group, the task force has been established to help come up with ideas or solutions that perhaps.
They're going to
Or
review what's been
drainage.
accomplished so far and any recommendations they may have consideration to make improvements. If it's a capital thing, we'll have to come forward with it. If it's a maintenance area, we'll decide if we're going to do it for Eddie's crew, whatever the case may be. But they're not, they're just helping us come up with ideas. on
Once
things
somebody's
we haven't.
hired, we're not going to do it. That's my thing. So if this turns out not to be the solution that we're looking for, then they're there.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, am I correct? Once we've got somebody, we're not going to get rid of them. And that's what we should do. We hire them for a long term. So if this is not the solution to drainage, that's what
We're
I thought
always
the
going to
purpose
have ongoing
was.
drainage issues. Always. We're at sea level. 2 inches of rain in 24 hours is what our ditchers reside. We're always going to have these issues. It's a matter of how much more attention the board wants to dedicate to that issue. Right now, with full crews do multiple functions right now. Drainage is one part of the many functions Public Works crews, the Public Works team address. We've put a dedicated team. This is their Public Works. They focus on the ditches, stormwater management every day of the 30. Very different than what we're doing
Then
now.
what my comment would be, this is just personally me speaking, I would say 4, I would say 2. I know Terry said 0. I'd say 2. Let's see what they're able to accomplish this year, and if we feel they're successful, then add more next year. If they would do, maybe they're able to keep up. That's my, I'll say 2.
She's not in favor.
Bill,
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I think adding 4 bodies at this point is jumping out ahead. We're in past that enough ditches. I think during all seasons like now, besides that, there and put a crew together, and I have a hard time adding that.
Well, the bottom line is step in the right direction. It's not an all solution. And people that sit around the state and say, oh, they're going to resolve a drainage problem. No. But I don't care what anybody says. My experience has been, and people that I've talked to in the community, people that vote for me, serve on this board, have explained to me time and time again, they have never seen anybody, crew or otherwise, come around to their neighborhood and clean out those ditches, cut that grass, unless they do it themselves. And I could go up and down the parkway out here, and I can point to you, or point out to you, the places that are neglected, and those places that are kept up by the homeowner. So we got to get right direction. Now again, we're putting the cart before the horse, and hopefully this advisory group that we put together, task force that we put together, we'll come up with some very good ideas that Bob can implement. Now he's got to come back to the board, and he says, I don't have the personnel. But here we are back to square one. And a year's wait.
so you're saying 4?
I'm for buying 4 new people, and I just think it's short sighted. We're talking about $66,000. Chump change.
Yeah.
Small amount of money. For what it gives us back in return, is a small amount.
This one's not so clear. I understand the argument. We really need a focused effort. That is a proposition that makes sense. It isn't a giant amount of money to a thing, but it is dollars. So, I look at that. I have kind of been on the same starting smaller should if needs demonstrate. And it really takes 4. Not that I disagree with that. I just don't know. I don't have. And
So let's get the answer to that, because physical takes 4 people.
We
to actually
calculated
make
the
it work.
amount of roads, the 70 miles of roads, which means 140 miles of stormwater, and not including the side ones that cut between, the real deep ditches. So think about that
Right.
unto itself. And then you've got grass cutting, removal of any debris or stuff that falls in there, clippings, all the things that go with it.
Cleaning out pipes.
Pipe cleaning, all those. Now, again, we have folks that do some of that work, but it's more seasonal related. This is a year-round crew that stays on it. We actually went and calculated. Eddie and I actually talked about trying to start, we'd start with a two-man team, and then midway through the season, hire the other two to supplement fall when it gets, with the tree, all those extras. But I don't think two laborers. I would think.
Right, and I don't know. It's not necessary. I just simply don't know. Might be a need do it good, and flush out the rest of the next stretch.
That's our typical approach when we have new, unless it's a new position needs to be filled right away. And that's obvious with the HR and the IT. So we need them. We're just not sure at what level. We wait until we clearly identify the need, then we strike. It'll be the same thing here. I just recognized over the last 6 months the board's desire to take more efforts towards the drainage, and that's what we try to recognize in the budget.
Right, and I agree with you. I would just be.
Are you saying 4 or 2?
I'm saying leave it budgeted at 4.
Leave it budgeted
Start
4.
to,
Okay.
And don't increase it unless needed.
That makes sense.
Until recent history, there was a 4-man. There was actually operator, machine operator, 3 guys. When they literally didn't have a work, they went to wherever they left off in the A to Z scenario,
Right.
and started shooting elevations, digging, cleaning, shoveling, sweeping, blowing out culverts if they had to. And then they took work orders, and they necessary they went somewhere else, and something else. But if there was nothing, they went back where they left off, and they continued on. And it worked pretty well, as I remember. I think that we're tripping over the marbles and not looking at the basketballs. 4 guys where I'm hearing 66,000. I don't know where that came from. My concern with Public Works is $138,236 increase in payroll between last year and this year. There's a $225,000 increase in payroll over the 5-year average. That's a humongous jump, no matter how you paint it. And it ain't 4 guys cleaning out a ditch.
112 of it is.
112, not 66, 112.
I never said 60.
Somebody
No
else
one
said
asked
66.
me, so 112 is the number.
Okay, sorry, I'm not playing.
No, I know that. I
Somebody
was
did say
waiting.
66.
You all were kidding. No one asked.
66.
I saw it.
It's 100. What? No, it's 112 is the total number for the 4-man crew. Benefits, everything that's in it.
That's my number.
Yep.
112 will work.
It shows
Don't do
66 on page 2.
66, 560.
Yeah.
That's the that's
Okay.
That's before loading.
All right, so where's the
All right.
number? There's the
112.
112.
I'm telling you what the number is.
Okay, well, I'm just reading. That's where I came from 66.
I understand.
Okay.
That's our
I'm
highest.
in alignment with what Jeff talked. Leave the budget where it is with the understanding that it will start out with a couple people, and then Bob and Eddie can make the decision as to whether or not this is working or not, and they can make that decision. We're not directing as different from what we did earlier in the meeting, and I think it's fair to say this. Earlier in the meeting, there was a big push on if we're going to put a position in the budget, we expect it to be filled, which was was a fairly clear message.
Right.
This one is quite different. We're simply saying leave it in the budget, but if you don't need to spend it, then by all means don't.
No, not need to spend it. Cut back on the number of personnel.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
So
I mean, I can live.
I can live with that.
Well, I'm
You've
going
gotta
to
live
have
with
to
it.
live with it, but it's $13.25
I'm
on every
never
member's
taking you out for
pocket.
lunch again. If you don't say,
I'll have to live with it. I don't want to go to the end.
All right, so that's done. That budget
how
stays the
about you?
same.
You go your mind? Oh,
Okay.
It's 3 to 2 to 2. Because they were no. You were 2. You guys.
so that's what I'm saying. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and
Bill,
Are
you
you with us?
shaking your head yes a minute ago.
I'm
What? No, I'm not any increase
Well,
in
that,
payroll.
what,
Let me save you time and trouble. I'll throw a blackboard over here my shoulder.
I know your answer. I mean, it's final.
All right, as I understood it, Bill and I said 2. 1, 2, 3 of you said 4.
no.
She said no, and you say no.
No, wait a minute. Are you saying 2? You're okay with 2 people? Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you said no to the whole concept. Oh, okay.
We both said start with 2.
And I thought
so
you
we're
were
kind of with
Hold
Jeff,
on, stop. Do it over again. Because I thought Bill was shaking his head to Jeff's proposal. I'll leave the budget where it is, but phase it in.
That's right.
No, I said that on with Sharon, but it doesn't matter. You 3 guys are okay. The way it is, so.
Okay.
I could go with
It's only other people's money.
It's my money.
It's our money too.
Where are we? Makes no difference.
You're going to write a check
Consensus
for the
is leave it
112. I'm all for
Well,
it.
makes
That's it.
difference. They base it. I didn't get the answer. That's
The
why I
answer is
asked.
leave the budget as it is.
Okay.
There you go.
But start out with 2.
I'm hiring
employees.
everyone tomorrow, just so we're clear. Just that-
Your death wish.
My debt goes continue.
Everything was roads.
Well, we talked about the added footage to the pool, if you can do it. Bob basically explained that that's really not really doable within the dollar amount of this budget. So I don't agree about that. Does everybody agree with that? The explanation we got from Bob, okay with that?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the same one I asked yesterday.
Oh, yeah. For the record, our issues have been, we're done at this point.
The roads, we're leaving the roads
The
as they
roads,
are.
we're funding them as they are, and there's things behind me, the only open issues, but there is a question here. Go ahead, Mark.
We're leaving it at 10-2. We're not resolved then.
I'll tend to.
Whether or not we increase or don't
No,
increase cost.
we resolve that.
I asked yesterday about this business about payroll. And I'm still using the same example. In October, it was 21,571. The pool was open less than 400 hours. I'm using 400 hours as my numerator. I come up with $54 an hour.
Okay.
If I take management out, and percentages of management, everything else.
Now, that's not, I'm not being, pushing the question away. That has nothing to do with budget, does it?
Sure it does. I might make a request of the board to slash budget payroll somewhere. And this was a question asked yesterday in that discussion. Does that branch?
I don't have the answer for an October. I don't right
How,
now.
how much do we pay lifeguards? That should be pretty easy.
Marty, it's a different number. I can tell you this from the aquatics, if I may answer
Yes,
this, Bob.
please.
There has to be a certified pool operator, which gets a higher amount of money on the dock at all times.
How much?
I don't know how much it is, but I do know,
$41 an hour?
Marty, I don't know. I'm just telling you that the law is there must be a certified pool operator on a pool at all times. Plus, you have to have lifeguards based upon the volume of the pool. Whether there's one kid in there, it could have 100 kids, you got to have that. When they have special parties, like the parties for the swimming, birthday parties and stuff like that, then they have to bring more people on top of it. So, they're really, I work on this committee, we review these numbers every month. They look at it very, very tight. I don't know where they could cut any slashing because of the regulations that are out there.
And these regulations are based on us being public swimming.
We are under those regulations.
Okay.
Yeah. And on top of it, we're going to need ADA.
I mean, it's
what do you
costing us
call those hard
$41
covers?
an hour today, right now, for the 4 people that are hanging around the indoor,
That's probably correct.
not including management.
Folks, see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
You know what happens tomorrow at 3 o'clock?
We vote you out.
I quit.
Did you? Did you? Okay.
4 eyes.
Wait, Jim.
What?
Public comment.
Somebody wake
Going
Reynolds
going
up.
twice. Going 3 times. Go ahead, Joe.
Could you speak up a little bit? I really, I can't hear you. Wait a minute.
Just don't sit next to me. Oh, 09. Part of it.
It's part of it. That's not the only.
You're right.
Partially correct.
Just before that major. Right?
Oh,
something
that'd
like
be that long.
No, it's late
Probably has
summer,
to say-
early.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but
We did that. Yes. Yes, sir, in that area. Yes, sir. We have put the wings.
you're asking me what? Yeah. The people that I've talked to in that particular area have indicated to me that the situation has been mitigated to a great degree. There is still work to be done, and their concern is that there are some pipes there that need to be blown out, cleaned out, what have you. They're also, ask me a question. They're also telling me that there are some pipes there, and I don't, these are people that supposedly know what they're talking about, that are not, there's not enough drop, there's not enough fall in order to get that water to exit out. But they have indicated to me, since that fix has been put in by Bunting and the county, that the problem has been mitigated tremendously. You hearing the same thing, Bill?
Yeah. I've been over there a lot. Over there. Been over there. Seen that truck there. Nothing.
Because it's not a static problem. It's a dynamic problem. Comes out of the environment into a ditch. The water flows it into a pipe. Something, garbage that goes into that pipe. It builds up and up and up, and the pipe flow. Oh, well, let me say this. Let me second three. What about? Now wait a minute. Seriously, what's his name?
Joe.
Joe. Seriously, Joe. Saltgrass. It's called saltgrass. Huh?
Saltgrass.
So down there, talk to those people. That's the problem down there. There's some other sections in Ocean Pines that are a problem down there. You get my truck, drive. We'll go around the back roads and back at Ocean Pines. You see those ditches and you see some of those places. You'll be amazed. Gosh, why haven't this been?
Okay.
No, maybe
All right.
Remains to be seen.
Public comment. He's got every right to say what he wants to say.
Yeah, he does. No, he's a good man. He's a good guy.
Any other public comment? Whatever. It's your turn. You're the only one left. You didn't put your hand up. It does. It does. It does. Correct. That's a further advancement. Yeah. Well, we haven't done it yet, so I up there. Yes. Yeah. More like 12, but yes, Joe, round two.
That was
It's actually not the case, sir. Reality is, if you want to keep paying a bank some interest, we can keep doing that. Otherwise, we can keep the interest in-house.
it was
The
always
internal
supposed-
loan within our own organization, as I understand it, is we set up, as we did when we self-funded some of the drainage, we still pay ourselves the money. Not the operating budget, no, it'll save us the bank interest. That's what this does.
the aquatics.
You save the interest money that would have gone to the bank. That's the 12 grand that we're saving.
You pay yourself.
But you pay at 1% interest, you pay yourself what you would have paid.
Versus seven.
Yeah.
Correct. There's still the interest expense. That is correct.
Correct.
The operating side.
Correct.
It's
So,
7% versus 1%. So
Correct.
I mean, you're basically getting rid of the money you're paying to a bank when you don't have to borrow the money from the bank. To give credit where credit is due, folks, there was a big push to pay this loan off. The first time we analyzed the paying off of the loan, it really didn't make sense because we were basically at the point in the loan where the amount of principal payment versus interest had gone past the tipping point where it didn't make sense. But then when it was pushed again, the idea became, hey, wait a minute, what if we just borrowed it from ourselves at 1% as opposed to paying a bank, which is what we're doing tomorrow.
The difference.
Right, Bill? Is that right? You wrote the
Yeah, I'm not into paying the bank.
Right.
6% of my money.
Right.
This is my money.
That's what we're doing.
The difference is the interest.
Yes.
Okay, we're still paying interest. It should, under the current rule, go to the aquatics budget.
Yes.
But it's a different rate. The old rate was 7. New rate is 1. That's like getting rid of the interest, except it doesn't get rid of it.
You're right, but
Correct.
the principal was supposed to be charged to aquatics also, not just the interest.
Different point. Got it.
Yeah. I'm aware of the histrionics of what was promised by many people when the covered pool was put in place, and it was there when I got here. So I'm trying to get rid of paying. Bill's trying to get rid of paying money to a bank. I'm trying to get paying a bank we don't need to. Okay, so that's what
It's a
tomorrow's all
reverse
about.
arbitrage. You wouldn't get a big applause
Whatever.
rate in
Is
any
that like a reverse mortgage?
Done. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Adios.
We were going to go down Winters only,
Mm-hmm.
and then my daughter decided